Good lighting. What's raining outside? All right, hey guys, welcome to the TED Show. It is episode 204, I think. Is that what I think you are? 204, I can't even believe it. Let us know you can hear us or see us. Give us a thumbs up or a heart. I don't know if you know, the reason I do that is because I did an entire show once, 30 minutes, and I was wondering why nobody was saying anything. They couldn't hear me, and I wasn't live, even though it said live in the button. Hey, Eddie Nickel, let us know you can hear us or see us. John Wild, give me the thumbs up. All right, we got it. So I am with Lee Perry. Hey, Kyle. Lee Perry with Fleet Farming, right? Who would think that Ted Bogert would know anything about farming? I don't. But Lee knows a ton, and it's such a new, cool concept, and Orlando has embraced it. And so it's just so important to get the word out about all the wonderful programs. Hey, Kimber. See, now people are starting to pop on. Hi, guys. So welcome, Lee.
Hi, thank you.
I'm so happy to have you. So happy that you always support the show. It's so amazing. And what better topic to talk about than sustainability and changing the cycle of food? Is that what that was? Something like
slogan,
that?
Yeah.
See, I do a little research, about $1.99's worth. So welcome. How did you get started in fleet farming? Or let's go back to the beginning. Give us a little background on you.
Oh, okay. Well, on me personally, I started out, I actually lived in a food desert when I was growing up. I was very poor. We didn't really have access to fresh food, so we had to grow our own in order to have fresh vegetables on our plate. So that was where my passion started as a young girl. And then growing up through college, I started noticing that people were very disconnected from nature and kind of scared of snakes and bees and things that are really, really crucial to our survival. So I had a bunch of internships and slowly found my way to Ideas for Us, who's our mother nonprofit.
Oh, that's right, Chris and Clay.
Yeah,
They've been on the show.
They're awesome. They kind of helped inspire me to find a group of people who were all like-minded. And from there, Fleet Farming was born from one of their Hive events, and I fell in love. I started out as a volunteer with Chris and Caroline Shomanics, who's our program manager. And next thing you knew, all these people started getting on their bikes and farming these front lawns, and I just became obsessed.
So talk about that. So when you say farming their lawns, so I live in city proper, Orlando. Mm-hmm. So I really wish that I had cement sometimes because the lawn maintenance can be a real pain. But you all will come out. So tell them a little about fleet farming, the concept.
Okay.
What happens and what do they go through and how do they get involved? Because Kimber just said she and Steve are heading in that direction. I think a lot of people would like to learn more, but they don't know what the parameters are.
Okay. So there's a lot of misconceptions because we're really new. So we started out completely with volunteers in Audubon Park with people who donated funding and donated their front lawns. But after a year or so of farming these 25 farmlets in Audubon Park,
that's awesome.
We had thousands of inquiries from all over Central Florida of people who wanted a garden outside of our biking range. So we started doing edible landscapes, so raised beds and food forests and fruit trees outside of our biking range for people who didn't know where to start with a garden. And then we started to provide maintenance and education for schools or institutions who don't know how to make their garden long-term sustainable for them. So that's where we are now. Now we're still farming these front lawns in Audubon Park.
So what do you grow? And Clay, by the way, I don't know if you can see it. He says,
Hi,
"Way to
Clay."
go, Lee." Hey, Clay, we love Clay. What do you plant? When somebody comes to you like, this is what my goal is, and we're going to bring Lee back a couple of times as I'm going through the process because I really think it's fascinating, and I can't wait for my front yard or my backyard or all of it except for my pool to be a garden. But somebody like me comes to you and they say, all right, I want to do it, Lee. Mm-hmm. What are the steps? Take us through a little bit of how that is, because I wouldn't know like what's the best thing to plant in my soil. Are there choices? Is it like picking out wedding gifts? I mean, how do you design it and kind of take them through that process?
Okay, so pretend we're the garden guidance counselors here for you, okay? Now, the wait list for the front lawn farmlets in Audubon Park is really, really high, so we're not ready to expand that quite yet. But if you want to purchase a garden and have us help maintain it and educate you on how to maintain it, you can go to our website, fleetfarming.org, and go to our edible landscapes page and sign up for a consultation. We'll have one of our professionals come and build a custom proposal for you, and then once you approve the proposal, because we can edit it based on your budget, then we will build the garden and on a drip line irrigation system, so it's super easy to maintain. Pick the crops that you want based on the season, put them in the garden for you.
So cool.
And then you just call us when you're ready to have some maintenance done, if at all. Because a lot of families just love to take over and do it, but then call us when they absolutely have killed everything, let's say, or maybe they never call us because they have really great success. So it's up to you.
So does so if I wanted to, so you can grow vegetables, right?
Yeah.
Is that the primary crop? I'm really ignorant about this,
No,
so
that's
dumb it down
okay.
for Ted.
That's
so
okay.
is it things like peppers, tomatoes? Is it, we got a storm going on. Did you guys hear that?
Well, right now summer, so peppers, eggplant, Seminole pumpkin, watermelon. Tomatoes aren't going to do too well because they like their soil to be a little bit cooler, so tomatoes are more in the fall.
Okay, see, good.
Which this is what we teach you during our consultation. We encourage people, since education is the root of our mission, since we are a program of a nonprofit, Ideas for Us, education is the key. We want to empower you to know how to take care of it. So we'll talk about seasons, we'll talk about crop selection, we'll talk about crop rotation. But it's really not that hard, which it's a taboo because most people think that they have a black thumb, they don't have a green thumb.
I 100% have a black thumb, I think. But
There's no
the
such
fact,
thing.
Well, I kill houseplants. I mean, I do everything I can. Beth Hobart, if she ever watches, she'll tell you the same thing. And Beth and Jim participate, I think, or somehow involved
Yeah.
because. But Kimber, that the website is fleetfarming.org, and we'll share all that later. But it's fleetfarming.org. Hey Ray. So what if do you pick like 5 crops? Does it depend on the size of your front yard? And then for me, I think what a lot of people will ask, what about your HOA? What about if you've got a homeowners association? How do we tackle that, or is it even an issue?
So HOAs usually will allow you to build a raised bed in your backyard, but HOAs are also a client of ours. So we've had entire boards of HOAs ask us to build like 40 raised beds that they then can utilize as a revenue stream to rent out as a community garden to their homeowners in the HOA.
So cool.
Yeah, that's another thing that we offer. And then we do big group classes for the community garden where we can teach you how to take care of your one bed that you're renting from your HOA.
See, so how does it work with so you get the crops, do you get to keep them as the homeowner, or do some of them, or do all of them go out? Because it's shared, right? Shared cropping or shared crops.
Mm-hmm.
It's because the people who don't have access to that, don't you take some of that and either sell it as produce? Tell them how that all works.
So with our farmlets that we take care of in Paramore, Holden Heights, and Audubon Park, the ones that we do by bike, we keep a percentage of the produce, and the residents keep the other half. But if you're receiving an edible landscape raised bed, you keep 100%.
Oh, okay. So if the way that we'll be doing it, we'll be maintaining. I already told Lee that. I'm like, yeah, those poor plants. After all that work, at the beautiful garden, your edible landscaping you're going to plant, I'm afraid Ted Bogert would definitely have a problem and not keep it all alive. But so we, as in that particular situation, we get to keep the crops?
Yes, you're out of our biking range, so we can't bike to you, so we want you to keep 100% of the produce, and we'll come back and do maintenance when you need it, and we'll build that out in the initial consultation phase when we build out your proposal.
And so when you come do maintenance, you'll know when it needs to be, I mean, this is how dumb I am about gardening, right? You'll know when it needs to be harvested. Is that the right word? Harvested?
Yes. So Florida has 3 seasons: hot, hotter, and hotterer.
Hotterer, yeah. We're kind of in the middle of hotterer right now, I feel like.
So we usually say, hey, 3 times we'll do a soil and plant replacement, but in between that, if you really want maintenance to the point where we're doing some organic pest control or we're harvesting for you, we can also break that up for you based on how many times a month. So It's really easy. The drip irrigation makes it so low maintenance.
And can you have one in your front and your back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely ask your HOA if that's allowed. Most HOAs, backyard is 100% okay. We've done backyards in Baldwin Park, and they're very strict about the front yard. So
Right.
backyard, we've done many of those in Baldwin
So Baldwin Park too. How about, so I'm in city proper. How does that work? I'm not in Audubon Park,
Yeah.
but I'm in downtown.
So we do 20-mile radius of downtown Orlando
Nice,
proper. So
nice.
we're all over, and we're still willing to do larger builds out further than that radius. So please do not be afraid to contact us through the site if you're a little bit outside of that 20-mile radius. We want to help you.
Yeah, reach out. I mean, I think that's the whole point. But the education, the fact that we have a program like this, is really a testament to what's going on in the city. And of course, it's a testament to Ideas for Us and the Hive and all the good work that Clay and Chris are doing. Chris, they're both amazing people, big advocates. I can't even hang a plant on my porch in Baldwin. That's right, Eddie. Front porch, you can't do it. Back porch, you can definitely do it. Oh gosh, look who we have.
Leaving.
We have
Hi,
Joe
guys.
Tags. You're
I'm going to
leaving?
say goodbye. We didn't
Oh
want to
God,
do
everybody's going to say
Oh.
goodbye. We're on air. Love you guys. Let's give them a
Sorry
hug.
to interrupt your
Nice to
show.
meet you, Carrie.
All right, bye.
Hi,
Bye.
nice to meet
Good to
you.
see you. All right, appreciate you. All right.
Be good.
Bye. Bye.
Be good.
Yep,
Take
you
care.
guys have fun.
Bye.
Woohoo! That's what you get. Never know what's going to happen on the TED Show. Yeah, Eddie, I'm the same way. Well, I know Baldwin Park can be harsh, but as far as their HOA, but you said that they don't give you a hard time in the backyard.
We've done over 4, and we also are at the.
Bye, Brandon.
Bye.
Love you guys.
We're also doing a large school garden at the Audubon Park Elementary School as well. So we're
Very
kind of
cool.
nested in that area.
Now, do you find that more developments are, or are you targeting developments so that that becomes part of the overall development? So if somebody's building a new community, would that be something Fleet Farming would go out to and maybe have that as an option for edible landscaping versus the regular lawn maintenance that people have to deal with in Florida all the time?
You're literally like saying my dream, because the system of how developers are currently building homes is completely backwards. They find a site, they rip out all the trees and all that beautiful soil, they put in filler dirt and concrete and then build homes and then just lay sod. It is so backwards because all of these queen palms and all of these trees and shrubs are very expensive in comparison to a lot of edible varieties that grow really well, that don't need a lot of fertilizer or pesticides. So if a developer or contract company came out and said, Fleet Farming, we want you to kind of tell us what crops you'd like to plant and what type of native plants could help with your vegetable varieties, that would be a dream come true because it's so easy.
I mean, it's actually, you're right, they come in and they tear it all up and then they put something that looks pretty, but here's the problem with maintenance, and I've talked about this a lot. It's very hard to find dependable, all my lawn care people get mad at me, but it's very hard to find dependable lawn care. And I went on Facebook a little while ago about this because it just becomes a challenge, and I think it's because of the way the labor pool works and how it's hard. We live in the summer. What did you say? Hotter and hottest.
Hottest, yeah.
Crazy. But having a garden, I mean, with that all, man, a storm is something. With all of that in place, you can actually rotate stuff out and change with the season, and then you're not dealing. It's not like Fleet Farming is going to give up on you and not show up when they're supposed to show up, right? There's so much more dependability because they really are committed. They have a passion for it.
Yeah, well, I want to break some taboos right now.
All right, let's do it.
Number one, part of the problem is that everyone wants convenience. And that is a huge issue facing our entire agriculture system right now. Unfortunately, the average age of a farmer is 58 years old right now in this country,
Wow.
and they're having to rely on migrant workers because they can't pay a livable wage for people here in America to do this really, really hard and physically taxing work. So Fleet Farming is really trying to expose those truths and show that you going to the grocery store and having the convenience to buy whatever you want is really detrimental to the environment, to our local economy, and to your community's health,
Right.
to everyone's health. And so we want to teach people, yes, you want to have the convenience of, planting fruit and edible landscaping with the most convenient kind of system, but we need to live in a symbiotic relationship with nature.
Agreed.
And learn that convenience is coming at a huge cost.
Agreed. So let me ask you on the seasonal stuff, because I'm fascinated by this. Is there, since we are the hotter, we'll just say we're hotter all the time is what it feels like. So certain things, like you said, tomatoes don't grow, but is there a time where no fruits and vegetables are really great and you plant other things?
So I love that you're asking me that, because a lot of the people we're doing consultations for now are like, oh, well, we'll buy it in the fall.
Right.
But we're growing food right now. We just sold $300 at the Audubon Park Farmers Market doing fresh salad greens and fresh fruits and veggies.
Nice.
But part of the learning process is that if they can grow food in the Caribbean, which is tropical, and this is a subtropical climate, you can grow produce all year. You just have to learn how to do it right.
And that's where you guys come in. What did you call yourself? The garden
Guidance counselors.
Garden guidance counselors. And I think there are people that do, and people here, even though it is hotter all the time, people do enjoy gardening. They like to get out there, but I think a lot of them would be afraid. Like me personally, well, up north, when I was a little kid, we used to have like a garden, and you could grow tomatoes. I lived in Jersey, so the garden state, right?
Oh, nice.
So had a lot of amazing things that we could grow. But coming down here, we heard how the soil's all sand, and there nothing really likes to grow here, and which is that's false. It's completely false.
Completely false.
So how do the seasons go? You said there's 3 distinct. And then, so what's in the summer? You said leaves?
Yeah.
Leaves, jeez. That's salad, people.
greens.
Yeah.
Leaves, those leaves that we
Here
eat.
it goes.
So I usually break up my season personally when I'm planning my calendar. January, May, and October. That's the beginning of spring, January through May. Then summer, I consider May through late August, and then September-ish to December is my fall. And that's when I break up my seasons. What's growing right now, as far as summer salads, we're doing a yummy amaranth, which is also called callaloo, and they grow it in Jamaica. We have a...
What kind? That's a vegetable?
Yeah, it's a salad.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah,
Very cool.
Tokyo Bacana, which is an Asian green that's also a heat-tolerant variety. We do a type of arugula that's also a heat hybrid. And these are all organic seeds that we're buying online in bulk for our season. And then we're planting them in the ground and teaching people how to make delicious perennial or seasonal mixes out of them. And then we're selling them at local farmers markets and to local vendors.
And so, hey Jeremy, hey guys, everybody's saying hi. I'm sorry, I'm so fascinated by this. What do you do in the winter? I think it's good for people to know kind of an idea of what you can plant, because I thought winter, we're always afraid of the freeze, right? Because I have trees that die, shrubs that die because of the freeze. How do you handle that when we have our 3 days of winter?
Well, there are some crops that actually like it really cold, and I think we only really hit a freeze period 2 or 3 times last winter.
Right.
But there are things like Brussels sprouts and kale and things that are okay in the cold that we generally start to incorporate on our farmlets, and when we build raised bed gardens, we kind of counsel our clients to start to plant and seed those crops. But you can always cover it with a blanket and make sure that your plants aren't being completely frostbitten to death.
Right. Like you try to cover the trees, we do sometimes when it's supposed to be a freeze. Maxine Earhart just got on. Hey Maxine, I've missed you. And that made me think of something. What about restaurants who own a building or have a building? Can you work with commercial restaurants that want to have a garden in the back?
We have.
Okay.
We actually, Orlando Meats over off of Mills and I think Virginia, they have a garden installation that we did. We also did the wine room off of Fairbanks.
Very cool.
We're hoping to do Drunken Monkey and other institutions, other restaurants that would really love.
Oh, you did the wine room with Andres and those guys?
That was recently.
Wow, that's so cool. And he uses them in the pizzas or whatever he's making. I see a lot of restaurants that use fresh herbs and things like that in their cocktails too.
Absolutely.
Of course, that's where my brain went, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, when food is harvested and then shipped 1,500 miles away, it loses more than half of its nutrients by the time it gets to your plate.
Wow.
So if you're able to go right outside and harvest fresh oregano, which is a medicinal plant, or fresh basil, which there are perennial varieties that grow all year, it really could heighten the flavor and heighten the value of the food that you're selling.
That's awesome. Joe says he's grown great tomatoes and cucumbers here in Central Florida. He's not had any luck with or success with corn.
Corn's a big one because we have so many pests that are like, yummy.
So can somebody plant corn?
Yes,
Okay.
actually, the trick is to grow it all in a square. So you would do maybe 5 rows with 5 horizontal rows because they're a grass, so they're wind pollinated. So they need the wind to blow and help fertilize.
I love that you know all this information. It's amazing.
Yeah, but there are also some nice, instead of going straight for the sweet corn, there are some Native American varieties that the Native Americans used that you can plant, and also try to grow some beans that help put nitrogen in the soil to crawl up the stalk, and then squash at the base. So if you
That's
want,
so cool.
definitely email me because I love those questions. That's
We're
the
going
best
to
part
give,
of my job.
and Joe wants to know, are edible gardens more work than a regular garden? What's the time commitment?
Well, what do you mean by regular garden?
Like
Do you mean
when you plant a garden like somebody would normally do, is there more work because you guys have planted the garden in a specific way that makes sense? Most people who plant a garden, they just plant a garden. They don't. It's not really structured out or laid out.
No, this is laid out and properly planned, so it's actually less work if you think about all the weeds that might attack your native plant garden. But there are definitely some tricks that you can incorporate in order to make it lower maintenance.
That's awesome. Thank you, Music Dude. Music Dude saying hi on the Up Live show. You guys are awesome over there. All right, so how can somebody get involved? Do you have programs where residents can, what if they're not in Audubon Park, but they want to volunteer for Fleet Farming?
Okay, so we have a really extensive internship program. So if you're interested in that, definitely contact me and I'll make sure you get that contact information. Also for volunteers, we host free community events every second and fourth Sunday in Audubon Park out of East End Market. We meet there, put on music, jump on our bikes. We bring all the tools and all the gloves and everything. Just bring your water bottle and we can ride out to these micro farms. Or in Paramore, we do a swarm ride, which is our free event.
From the Hive,
From the
right? Am I
Hive.
getting it? All right, I'm a little slow, but now I get it.
Exactly. Every first Saturday of the month at Cayley Square off of Cayley Avenue. And we host free weekly events on our South Street plots, which you can't miss it if you drive by, in West Orlando, every Friday from 9 to 1.
Awesome. Carrie, I see you came on. I owe you a phone call. Don't think I have forgotten you. I apologize. I love it when people pop on and it reminds me of what I'm supposed to be also doing and the 1,000 things this morning. All right, so we're going to share all of Lee's contact information, fleetfarming.org again, but maybe a link to the site's really beautiful. I checked it out again this morning just so I made sure I did
Can
it
I
right.
do a shout out for that?
I want you to do a ton of shout outs. You go.
Laughing Samurai right off of Orange Avenue. They did our website for free. And they are absolutely amazing. So
Laughing
please,
Samurai.
Laughing
Very
Samurai.
nice. See, that's what I love also about everything that you do. Like, everything's so collaborative.
Everything.
And I believe that our city and people like Clay and Chris and you and everybody involved, we want to work together because working together gets us so much more than